YouTube friends and family. Hope everyone's doing well. My 10-hour break is just about up. I'm heading off to Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh to be exact. Anyway, I've seen now a couple different videos where other YouTubers are telling Amazon carriers not to book loads off of the spot market. In other words, the regular board. I've been saying it for a while. Amazon moved a bunch of loads over to Post-a-Truck, and these YouTubers are convinced that when you're booking a load off of the spot market, that you're convincing Amazon that they can put the price out cheaper. I don't agree with that logic. So we used to run Amazon loads, I'm going to say it's now 13 or 14 months ago. I want to say August of last year is when we stopped. About the time they started bringing out the short-term contracts last year, or at least when I started seeing them. They may have been available before then, and I just wasn't, able to see them. But my belief is a little bit backwards to that, and maybe I'm wrong. Those of you that currently haul for Amazon, if you have opinions, share them. I'm curious. So let's start by understanding that a big part of Amazon's success is, aside from squeezing vendors and carriers and anybody that works for them, aside from squeezing us for money, a big part of their success is based on they study, like lab rats study human nature. They study what makes us click on buying product through them versus anywhere else. And they spend millions of dollars studying this information. And honestly, I believe they're playing us, the carriers, like lab rats. So if you think about it, when I first started hauling for Amazon, actually when I first got on with Amazon, and many people I think experienced this, when I first got access to the load board, I was kind of disgusted by the rates. I was like, holy cow, why in the world are people doing this? This is just stupid. I'm not putting my trucks out there. In fact, I had an active Amazon account for almost a month, and one night, I want to say I was out with a client. We had gone and golfed. I was renting a little apartment in the oil field, oil field, Permian Basin versus I live in Southern California. So I had an apartment I rented out there, and my apartment was across the street from the golf course. So I went golfing with kind of a big shot, and mind you, oil field was dead. There was nothing going on, but if you don't continue to see these people, they very quickly realize your friendship was only based on the fact that they could give you business. So, I was still spending money, socializing with these people. And so, it went from we golfed, and then we had some drinks at the golf course, and then we caught an Uber over to a little restaurant, which also had a little bar, and we sat at the bar and we were having drinks. And so he asks me, he's like, hey, so, what are you doing to stay busy? How are you keeping the ship afloat? And so I told him different things that we were doing and how we were trying to diversify. And I mentioned Amazon. And he's like, someone I know had trucks running with them. And then he said the rates started to get cheap. So he pulled them out. And I'm like, it is cheap. And so I opened up the application, and the rates weren't as bad as I remembered seeing. And I'm like, well, actually, these aren't that bad. And he's like, what do you think changed? And I said, I don't know, but it was late. It was pretty close to midnight. And so, fast forward a couple more hours, I'm back at the apartment, and now I'm curious. I opened up the application, and a couple of the loads I had looked at went up even more because it was closer to the delivery time, right? Or to the start time. And so that was when I realized there's a rhythm to the way their load board works. The closer the load time starts, the sooner it starts relative to current time. So like right now at midnight, that's what time it is here where I'm at. It's midnight. So right now, if I go look at loads, that load, let's say at 8 in the morning, they're going to be higher than they would have been at like 3 in the afternoon yesterday. So we figured that out, and I put trucks to work with them, and we started getting, $5 a mile on loads. It was inconvenient because I had to wake up at 3 in the morning and look for loads. The drivers didn't sleep well because, hey, be aware, 3 to 5 in the morning, I may shoot you over this load and you're going to need to wake up and go grab it. Anyway, so fast forward a little bit, and Amazon starts putting these loads into short-term contracts, and the load boards start looking dry. And the loads that were left were disappearing soon because the people that didn't jump on the short-term contract, more people were now fighting for less loads, and so people wouldn't let them mature. Likewise, I think in some markets, the box truck price, the same thing happens. They post loads, I think people have said Thursday night, sometimes Friday night, and by Saturday the majority of them are gone because that fear of, if I don't book it now, there won't be anything left during the week and I need to work. And so people book loads really cheap. And now I think what's happened is, for loads like I used to haul, where you bring your own trailer, and when you have your own truck and trailer, you have more options. If you look at any load board in any market and you say, I'm going to look for loads out of, let's just say, Pittsburgh, where I'm going now. So I'm going to look for loads out of Pittsburgh, and there could be a couple hundred loads depending on which load board you use. But then you set the filters to say power only, and instead of 200 to 300 loads, now all of a sudden there's maybe 10. So there's less options, and the rate's usually cheaper. So for me as a carrier, with regards to Amazon, if I don't find something somewhere else, Amazon could be like a backup plan, and if it's a good rate and I wait on it till it goes up, then I book it. But Amazon's not dumb. You see, anytime they start spending more money for something, they look for a way to manipulate the situation where we think we're still being the wise guy, figuring it out, and Amazon is playing us. So think about this for a minute. Whereas I would have been looking at the load board, let's say between now and 3 hours from now, for the higher rate, there isn't a fraction of what used to be on that board. And what's happening now? We're all involved in a silent bid process to get the same work. In other words, if I say, well, I got a truck in Dallas and there's 4 loads, let's say 3 loads going to Memphis. So they're at $280 a mile. I want more. So I wait. It gets up to $350. Someone takes one. There's still 2 more there. Okay, I'll keep an eye on this. If someone takes the second one, then I'll book the third one no matter what the price is. So then the second load disappears at about $4 a mile, and then I grab the last load at $4 a mile. Whereas when you work on a post to truck basis, whatever price you put in, that's the price you're going to get if they award it to you. If you went too high, you don't get anything. And so by nature, we go cheaper. I did sales for a really long time. And in many cases, this was how it worked. You provided a pricing point for your client, and the cheapest one gets it. Whether it's you're selling a piece of equipment to a municipality, or whether it's a contractor and you're providing them a bid for a big project and the project's going to last 36 months, you only get one shot at it. And so I believe Amazon, with this post-a-truck program, they're playing everyone against each other. Now, the other thing Amazon did is, a few years ago, you needed 3 trucks. 3 trucks and an active authority to get in. They realized, and now think about this for a minute, Amazon's price point. You can order a $30 piece, whatever it is, a $30 trinket, and you click order it, order it now, whatever they call it, and you'll have it tomorrow. And if you're a member of Prime, you'll have it tomorrow for free. So compare that to if you go down to FedEx or UPS and you stick a piece of paper in an envelope and say, I need to get this, 250 miles away by tomorrow morning, and they want $40 for it. But yet here Amazon can deliver a $40 trinket, which means they paid something for it, and they'll get it to you tomorrow delivered for free. How are they doing that? Well, they're doing that by pimping us to move their stuff for cheap. And here's the funny thing. Amazon used to require that you have 3 trucks to get in. Try to go get in with FedEx or UPS hauling their freight. They have a far stricter criteria to get in, because they're requiring you to have a certain level of equipment and a certain age of equipment, because it's their name, right? If you go deliver a packet to FedEx, you're not expecting FedEx to tell you, oh, well, your packet didn't make it because, well, the contractor we used broke down. But yet here Amazon is running on a thinner margin, and they let everyone and anyone come in. And at this point, honestly, Amazon's network and Amazon's delivery service is second to none. I mean, go order a part. It happened to us. So I had a truck breakdown. It was in the shop, needed a part, and the dealership wanted like $450 for it. And I found this part on an online service, and it was like under $200. So boom, I ordered it, didn't give it a second thought, walked away, and 3 days later, I see the tail end of that truck sticking out of the shop, and I'm like, why is this truck still here? And they're like, well, we never got the part. What do you mean you never got the part? I ordered that Monday. It's Wednesday afternoon. So I went back to my computer, looked up where I ordered it, never got a confirmation email, never got anything. And so I called them, and they're like, oh yeah, no, it shipped. And I'm like, no confirmation email? Of course, Amazon, you would have gotten something, right? That's something Amazon's good at. They figured out how to make the process work. And so they give me a tracking number. Yeah, they shipped it ground, and it got there 2 days later. And so Amazon has set a standard that we're all accustomed to now. And yet they switched from you're required to have 3 trucks to anyone with a brand new authority can go out and buy 1 truck. You can get on board and you can start booking their freight. So why? They weren't really struggling to have enough trucks. In fact, more carriers have left Amazon since they opened it up because the freight got cheap. But that's exactly the point. The freight got cheap. They opened the floodgates, allowed everyone in, and now that they switched it to post-a-truck, you see this on Facebook all the time. hey, well, I just got on with Amazon and I don't see any loads. And the first thing people tell them is, post a truck. Okay, and so a week later, well, I've been doing post a truck for a week now and nothing. And then someone says, you have to go cheaper. And the person replies, well, you know, I'm already down to this number. And it's like, yeah, that's not going to get it in that market. It's competitive. And so again, doing the post a truck thing is driving the rates down further. So this other YouTuber is mad at other carriers for beating him on the bid, but that's the process you're agreeing to. You're agreeing to going into post a truck where it's basically like a silent bid. And it's not, you know, you're buying something so the highest bidder wins. It's the opposite. You're trying to get them to give you work so the lowest bidder wins. And honestly, Amazon's smart enough, they could even set up their algorithm to, on purpose, not award you the first, let's just say, 3 rounds, and you could be at a competitive price, but on purpose their algorithm may have said, unless we absolutely need the truck, don't award the first 2 or 3, so this person in their mind thinks, I gotta go cheaper. I may be full of it, guys. I may be completely wrong on this, but how did Jeff Bezos end up so damn rich? Where's all the money coming from? The markup on their product, there was I read an article where Jeff Bezos had a sit down with, well, not a sit down, but you know, it's their shareholders meetings, and he told them, we operate at a loss. We operate at a loss all year long, and where we make that up, where we make our money, is when people put in their money for their Prime membership. That's our margin. And I kind of didn't believe it at first, but if you look at some of the pricing for some of the product you buy, you know, let's just say you want to buy yourself, you know, let's just say like in my truck, I want to buy myself another fridge for the back of the truck. This truck didn't come with one. And so you go to all these other online companies, including the dealership, and a fridge for one of these things are expensive. They're over $1,000. And so you find one on Amazon for $700. Okay, that's kind of like the whole profit margin slashed off of it. And then they deliver it for free if you're Prime. So you funnel more business through them. And Amazon has become who they are by understanding human nature. And likewise, I believe that when we're doing this post-a-truck thing, I've never done, well, no, I'm not going to say I've never done one. I have done a couple post-a-trucks. And it was primarily because I just didn't see anything on the load board. And I had a truck in an area, and I was doing Amazon at the time. So, you know, I had that mentality that a lot of you get, that, you know, well, Amazon's my go-to. Amazon's who I'm working with. Amazon has to give me something. And it wasn't till I made Amazon my last resort that we started making a lot more profit. Don't get me wrong, when we first started working with them, there were some really good loads. One of my better paying loads, I remember going from Memphis, Tennessee to Dallas, Texas, and it paid $2,400. It's like 480 miles. Not a bad load. Drawback, of course, is it went to FTW1 and you sat there for 7 hours trying to get unloaded. But anyway, so it's just my counter belief to what some other YouTubers have said. You know, don't pick up loads on the load board, do the post-a-truck. I kind of think the opposite. I kind of feel like post-a-truck is playing everyone, and it's playing us against each other. And it's the primary reason I don't really work for Amazon anymore. It's not profitable for me. Every time I go on Amazon, especially like when I do these reviews and I show you guys the loads that are available, a lot of times in the video itself, I compare it to what we're hauling for, and we're getting way better money. And I don't have to deal with the Amazon dysfunctional receiving side, where you show up and you wait for 2.5 hours in line, you know, and then they send you to a staging area, you go to sleep, and 3 hours later they called you. These are for live loads, obviously. You know, my drivers were frustrated pulling Amazon loads. You know, now they dig the stuff we get. Anyway, I just wanted to share that real quick. It is time for me to get to work, do my pre-trip, and hit the road. I'll see if I can't get a load board review in tomorrow. Today's just, you know, for some reason I slept really, really well, and I woke up like right when it's time to get up, instead of waking up early, kind of insomnia, wondering why I didn't sleep the last 2 hours of my break. But anyways, as always, thanks for watching, guys. Appreciate it.